On the edge of the Gulf, next to Dubai, is Sharjah. Every international team plays here, including England. Nowhere else have there been so many allegations of cricket match fixing or of games being linked to the underworld. These matches have attracted an international gambling network. The man who owns and runs Sharjah Cricket is Sheikh Bukatir. He accepts that there is a problem.
I'm not saying that there is no match fixing, because that's not in our... I mean, obviously, it's now very clear that a match is fixed between two people, a bookie and a player.
When England's cricket team came to Sharjah in 1997 to play in a one-day tournament, its captain was Adam Hollyoake. As soon as he walked into his hotel on the evening before the game, he realised something was wrong.
Basically arrived in my hotel room to be greeted after about 4 or 5 minutes by a phone call from an anonymous caller asking me information about what my batting lineup was going to be and who I was going to bowl first, what I was going to do if I won the toss, etc., etc. 5 minutes later, I was received another phone call, this time by someone different, saying that I'd spoken to his colleague a few minutes earlier and saying that if I wanted to become very wealthy, that I should basically speak to him and arrange to meet with him. I hadn't even played my first game as captain of England at the time, and I'd basically played 5 one-day internationals, so for me it was disturbing, to say the least.
Hollyoake refused the offer and reported the incident. He's not the only player to have been approached in Sharjah to fix matches for cash.
You know, Sharjah is something someone needs to investigate very seriously, but because there is clearly incredible temptation to mess around with the results, with the games, to lure players. I mean, it all exists there. I mean, it's that kind of a cauldron.
I don't think every game in Sharjah was fixed, but if, let's say, 2 or 3 important games are fixed, it makes a whole mockery of a tournament.
In tournaments in other parts of the world, there have been similar accusations. 8 test-playing countries have faced allegations of corruption. Players have been accused of underperforming, conspiring to throw matches, and of selling inside information to bookmakers. Vast sums are riding on the game.
We've only touched the tip of the iceberg. I think it goes a lot deeper, and I don't think it's just the players involved. I think it's a much wider network. You know, I've heard figures as much as $1 billion US changing hands in one test match.
$1 billion?
US dollars in one test match around the world, one test match result. So to offer someone a few $100,000 or 50,000 or whatever in cash is small fry. So there's a lot of money involved.
The ICC, the game's top governing body, has known about the rumours of match fixing for years. It now admits it should have done more.
I think that the ICC, the same as the public generally and the media, didn't realise that the matter was as bad or as genuine as it obviously was. In the last 18 months, it's been said many times, including by me, that the cricket officials were slow to act and didn't react quickly enough. That's on the record everywhere. But, as I said, we didn't realise it was as deep or as widespread as it has proved to be.
But according to others, the authorities didn't act sooner because they were more interested in protecting cricket's image.
There was a great deal of frustration because we knew that players and managers of the game in private were talking about match fixing, were willing to admit to match fixing, but in public, everyone's stance was, no, nothing happens.
This summer, England is playing 2 of the teams which have been investigated for corruption, Pakistan and Australia. Last year, the captain of Pakistan, Salim Malik, was banned for life for match fixing. In Australia, Shane Warne admitted taking money for helping bookmakers. England's Alex Stewart is under investigation after allegations, which he denies, that he did the same. It was in India last year that the story of the international network of cricket corruption first became public. Cricket is almost a religion here. Its followers couldn't have known of the corrupt activities of Hansie Cronje when he came here last spring. Cronje was captain of the South African team, a hero at home and a born-again Christian. Cronje was staying at this hotel in Delhi. But his luck was about to run out. Indian police had set up a phone tapping operation. The police weren't looking at cricket, they were investigating threats by criminals against a local businessman. Cronje could have had no idea that he'd unwittingly stepped into a trap meant for someone else.
While monitoring those telephones, we overheard a conversation pertaining to cricket. Betting on cricket. Also, it is very widely known that certain mafia gangs based in Gulf countries, they have been heavily betting on cricket and manipulating the results. In one of the monitorings of the cell phones, we found that it was Hansie Cronje's voice. He himself was in conversation with one person.
They were able to pinpoint where the conversation was taking place and identify the person Cronje was talking to. He was a prominent Indian bookmaker.
Cronje told him that he's in room 346, and subsequent investigations confirmed that the conversation was between Hansie Cronje, who was in room 346.
Cronje was heard to say that he'd spoken to 3 South African cricketers and had a plan for fixing the game. According to the transcript, the bookmaker says everything's according to plan. They have to score at least 250, and if you score 270, it's off. Okay, says Cronje. At dawn, Cronje went to see one of the South African bowlers.
He said to me that I must go for less than more than 50 in my 10 overs. So what he basically said, I must underperform in that game, and we mustn't score more than 270. The team mustn't score more than 270, otherwise the deal is off.
And did he tell you how much money you would get as a result of this?
25,000 euros, that was the amount I can remember.
$25,000?
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
I thought, well, it's a lot of money, but I don't think what the consequences may be.
In the event, Cronje wasn't able to rig the game and no money changed hands. When the authorities back home were told that their hero had been overheard trying to fix a match, they refused to believe it.
The allegations are outrageous. Hansie Cronje is a man of unquestionable honesty and integrity.
Cronje himself then protested his innocence.
The Indian government. And if you check my cash bank accounts, that I think is the only thing that's going to clear me, because as I've said, you know, I have not received any money.
Well, I suppose he thought he was beyond being caught, really. He was captain of the South African team. No one would, he wouldn't be caught, you know. It was easy money. It was, who would know?
Ask the good people here to make the minimum, create the minimum of disturbance.
In South Africa, an inquiry was set up to look at the allegations. The evidence the King Commission found was overwhelming. Cronje was forced to admit that he'd taken up to $15,000 from a bookmaker. He called it money for jam.
Words cannot begin to describe the shame, humiliation and pain which I feel in the knowledge that I have inflicted this on others.
People were absolutely speechless. It was as though the entire country came to a standstill. And of course, most South Africans, given that Hansie had been such a hero, such an icon, such a symbol, didn't want to believe that any of it was true.
I thought to myself that, well, if we're going to struggle to win this test match and this guy is giving out money for jam, then I'm not going to be stupid and not take it. So unfortunately, I took the money, and it is a mistake that I made, and I accept it.
Hansie Cronje could have had the rest of his life as being a demigod in his country, I suspect, similar to the reputation that Sir Donald Bradman has held all his life in Australia, whereas now his life, in my view, and his reputation is completely ruined.
In India, Cronje's partial admission now started to lift the lid on a scandal. It was much bigger and much wider than anyone had so far realised. And it was obviously continuing.
Well, we have not yet concluded our investigations. Investigations are still to be completed in UK as well as South Africa. There are so many questions pertaining to other areas of investigation which have been thrown up.
Come on, India!
In India, one-day internationals in particular have attracted sponsorship, and there's big money and constant promotion. Betting on cricket is illegal in India, but the games are used for what's known as spread betting.
Spread betting is a clear indication of match fixing. Spread betting, for instance, works between two teams. X team will win the toss. Spread betting is a particular batsman will get out at this score of 10. Spread betting is India shall not score more than 200 runs. Now these are exact indicators of match fixing. There is no science in the world, there is no forecasting, there is no analysis in the world which can tell you in these two teams which team will win the toss today.
Mr. Gupta has been investigating illegal bookmakers and their links with international cricket. He agreed to show us one of the more well-to-do areas of Delhi where he says illegal bookmaking flourishes.
We have busted 3 bookies here in this particular market. I have busted them. Their offices are here, but the places where the bookies actually operate are actually houses. The cash transaction, they are collected from shops. There are places which will appear to you like shops. There are, for instance, a jeweler shop here. There is a restaurant, which actually is a restaurant. But people come and take their betting money from there.
In India, since Cronje was exposed, police have been raiding gambling dens all over the country. Last month, in this Delhi suburb, for instance, they went to this apartment block and found nearly 2 million rupees in cash. There were 7 arrests, and police were keen to show us what they'd confiscated.
Mobile phones.
But most significant was their discovery of betting records. These included recent games in which England had played.
There's a match which is going on. One-day matches are there, and the test match.
Are these cricket matches just in India?
No, all over India. All over the world.
Cricket matches
all over the world, yeah.
You've got bets here about English Sri Lanka?
Yeah, England-Sri Lanka match, which was a second test match, played on 7th of March.
And this is a list of all the people?
All the people, yes. This is the match here, which was being... This is the bets.
It's a huge amount of money.
It's huge money.
And how were the odds set for this particular
match? That's what we are investigating. That's a matter still to be investigated, to find out who are what you call fixing the rates. That we are looking into. That's a part of our investigation, and that is what we are looking into at present.
And how likely is it that the source of that could be in Dubai and Sharjah?
There's every possibility. The source is outside India, but we cannot disclose so far what evidence we have collected.
That's straight down the ground. It's in the air.
More heroes were to be toppled by these investigations. Another captain, India's Mohammad Azharuddin, was also about to fall.
And the answer is 6 more.
He was vulnerable to approaches because he had the information needed to make profitable bets. If bookmakers could get to the captain, they'd be betting on a certainty.
From what I heard from the bookies, there's even betting as to who would open bowling on one end and who would open the bowling on the other end. At what point would they declare? These are things which are, captain is the major chap who makes the decisions. and he is the most important person. So if he has 1 or 2 persons with him, he can really do a lot of damage to the match.